Welcome to the channel. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Now in today's video I will be reviewing a new Merkur release. Now in the last Merkur video that I did tease a new release that they are coming out with, and thankfully the watch has arrived. And the first thing that you can see is different is they've gone for a different kind of box. Different colors, blue and red. So got that faux carbon fiber effect on there, and this one does say Jazz 1919. I think that's a bird. Yeah, but I don't know what significance that has. So let's open the box. We are very familiar with Merkur's packaging. Loads of paperwork, warranty card, cleaning cloth, thick instruction manual. But the main thing that we are interested in is this watch. Now, personally, I am quite excited about this watch because I've always been saying to Merkur directly and on my Merkur reviews that I can't wait till they bring out another dive watch. The last awesome dive watch that they made was this Ocean Master, and I've got two versions of this, and this is notoriously difficult to get hold of. On the rare occasion they even come into stock. I'm actually still after that green gradient variant, but yeah, no luck on that one. But yeah, this is such an incredible watch. I've done a full review on this. I always talk highly about this watch as well, and to me this is one of the best watches that have produced in the dive watch range. Now, bringing it back to the watch in hand, this is the new model. You can see it does have some similar styling present than the one I've showed you. Of course, it comes with the same strap, but it does have some vintage aesthetics, of course. Merkur called this a skin diver, but it is above a skin diver. They've just gone for that retro look. As you can see on the dial, the off-white old radium style lume applied. Those cathedralized dive watch hands that you find on the Grand Seikos. So there's already a few things which I really do like about it. There's a couple of things which I'm not too sure about. So I really want to compare this watch to the one I'm wearing, and of course give this a full review. So let me get this wound up. I'll give you a full overview of the specifications and dimensions before we look at the smaller features present on this watch, and of course I'll tell you guys the price, and then we will weigh it up at the end to see if this is another cracking dive watch from Merkur. So here we have the Merkur, let's call it the retro diver, and specifications are your usual specifications that you'd expect. You've got a 316L stainless steel case. You do have a domed, slightly air coated sapphire crystal. You've also got a sapphire bezel insert which is loomed. You've got a stainless steel bezel with a 120 click unidirectional function. You've also got a crown at 3 o'clock. You've got a cushion style case, fully brushed, of course. The watch does come with 200 meters of water resistance. You've got a screw down crown and a screw down case back. It also runs a Seiko Epson NH35 movement with a hack and wind function, a date complication at the 2 o'clock. As you can see, there seems to be no branding on the case back, nothing on the crown as well, just some branding on the dial, as you can see. And in terms of dimensions, you've got a 40mm diameter bezel, a 42mm case, a 48mm log to log with a thickness of 13.5mm, a 20mm log width, a crown size of 7mm, so quite a chunky crown, an overall weight of 115 grams. Now the price of this watch, it is going to set you back around £200, just slightly under, which means it's going to be just under $250, so coming in about $245. And that is a bit of a pricey piece from Merkur, considering the previous one was a bit cheaper than that. But let's take into consideration the increased cost of the Seiko NH35 movement, maybe some new tooling, sapphire bezel, etc. to make this watch. Now, it is quite a different design to the previous one, and I'd say the design of this watch is closer to the 61058,000 minus the crown. This crown is at 3 p.m. position, as you can see. But, the whole cushion style case, it does remind me of, in fact, the Tactical Frog also. It's got that dip at the bottom as well. It is fully polished from the sides. It's got drilled lugs, giving you some good practicality, but a very plain case back. Now, Merkur usually do put a logo on the back. It is quite a significant case back. You've got a turtle on there similar to that of the Certina, and some specifications. But is this a rust job? Maybe. That's why it is highly polished, but that is going to scratch and look quite messy relatively easily as well. These polished surfaces do catch a lot of micro scratches. In terms of the case brushing, very nice smooth circular brushing all across the A face, and a couple of things immediately do stand out. I love that bezel design. You can see that grip is so different, and you've got this chocolate bar sort of Squares cut out here, really nice finishing. And just take a closer look at that detailing present. You got these sort of little rectangles there. You've got polished edges, brushed sides, very nice, and that lip of the bezel is also brushed. That is a nice looking bezel. A lot of detail has gone into this, clearly a lot of machining as well, and it gives it a really nice tool watch appearance, a bit of an aggressive look, which is also complemented by this rubber strap. Now this is FKM rubber, and you know, even though I don't like these wave straps, incredibly comfortable, such a supple strap as well. And they give it a very aggressive yet vintage look, and I actually really like this rubber strap that is on these watches. The bezel, as I mentioned, it is sapphire crystal, it is loomed as well. We'll take a look at the loom shot slightly after, but let's check that rotation out, because you know, I know about Merkur do some really well built watches, and that bezel rotation should be sublime. So let's check it out. Yes, absolutely flawless. That grip is phenomenal. Great grip on there, even with the gloves. I have no issue holding it. And let's check out alignment. That is perfect. And you know what? These make a great fidget toy as well, because it's just so nice to rotate. No issues on there at all. No playback, no movement. You know, you expect nothing less from Merkur. So clearly they've kept up that build quality that we've seen on the previous model. The crown at 3 o'clock, really thick and very easy to screw out and screw in. Now that brings me to the dial, and you can see, you know, with that vintage loom applied, it gives you that retro effect. You've got a minute track printed around the dial in white, and you've got the Merkur logo printed on the dial just below the 12. They haven't gone for that applied logo. I kind of wish they had. But it does give it good legibility. And above the 6, you've got Ocean Master Professional 200 meters as opposed to 300 meters on the previous model. You do have a date window at the 3 o'clock, which has been framed nicely, you know, standard polished beveled edge with a white date disc. Everything seems to be lined up perfectly. And the one thing I really do like is the handset used. You've got this cathedralized diver hands that you see on the GS divers, but that finishing is something really to look at. It makes the hands stand out. You've got this coarse linear brushing present across the hands. You can see a slight bit of chamfer on that mini hand as well, and that finishing does really stand out on the dial. What you'll notice is a slight mismatch of loom. You can see the hand is slightly more orange, whereas it's a bit paler on the hour markers on the actual dial. Now the loom match between that bezel and the hour markers on the dial is also slightly off, a bit more cream in that, but the hour markers are exactly the same as the previous model. You know, you've got the dual baton at the 12 and just wider rectangular batons at the 6 and also at the 9. Circular markers in between, a silver polished frame, perfectly applied, well placed and perfectly visible. Let's go ahead and check out that loom. You guys can see the watch is really well loomed. That fully loomed bezel, as well as the dial and the hands, everything is really visible. Longevity wise, because this is that old radium style loom, I don't think it'll last as long as the loom on the previous watch, the other Ocean Master, but I'm really impressed. There has been no UV intervention from the torch, just from the LED lights in the room, and you know, I'm fully impressed with the visual that I see. There's no patchiness as well. The handset is slightly duller than the rest of the loom on the actual dial. However, I don't think there's too much of a problem, especially considering the type of loom applied, and I think they've done a great job on the loom. So, what are my thoughts on the new Merkur Ocean Master with this retro dial? I had a mixed bag of opinions when it came to this, and I think that was partly due to my own fault. Before I had even opened up the case when I received the watch, I had extremely high hopes for this watch. I wanted it to be better than the Ocean Master, but the Ocean Master to my right is such a great watch. It would be really difficult to obviously beat it. Now, I'm not saying this watch is by any means lesser than this watch, but I have to kind of understand it in a different way. So let's look at the case shape. So this watch is a predecessor technically to the Captain Willard. So if I look at it in that way, then I understand the simpler case shape and why it is missing some features. However, I still would have liked it to have that crown feature that was present on the Ocean Master, for example, giving you that red color there. But obviously there's nothing on here. And I was also expecting that highlight that you see present on the Ocean Master. I expected that from the Merkur, maybe for them to add something different, just to give the case a more of a luxurious feel. Also, one of the things which I don't like, the fact that there's a lot more effort gone into this. Just have a look at that case back. It is finished really well. Great bit of design on there, but as opposed to this one, just totally plain, and it makes me think it was perhaps slightly rushed. But the positives, right? The bezel is incredible. I really like that design, and I love the rotation. It is perfect. I like that loom bezel insert, and I do like the coloration used on the dial. There is a very slight mismatch on the shades, but it is something difficult to get right. And I especially love the finishing on the hands. And even though that dial setup is quite boring now, but I like how Merkur do it. It really suits the overall aesthetic of the watch as well. It isn't a separate aspect, and it looks great together. And considering the rubber strap they have placed on it, it does complete that overall look. Aside from the slight changes that I mentioned, I do like it. I have to say the quality is clearly visible when you look at the watch and how you feel the watch in hand. I absolutely love how they produce dive watches, and I wish to see just a lot more different versions. Maybe this is a step in the dive watch direction and trying to bring us more designs, which they did do a long time ago, and they did kind of come away from that and focus on the pilot and military watches. So that's it for this review. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next video. Don't forget to check out my eBay store. I have left a link within the description. Anything from brand new watches to used watches to a whole host of accessories, including straps, leather, silicone, you name it, all very reasonably priced. If you do want to reach out to me for something specific, then contact me on my email address, which again is within the description. Thank you once again, guys. Your support means everything.